got to bring you. Guten Tag, as the Queen would say on a day off. And another tale from old Cumbria today, and one which I will prelude with two precautionary notes. The first one being that, due to my roguish charm and demeanour, this will probably contain some well chosen and descript words which some viewers may categorise as mild bad language. I will, however, reassure you with a guarantee that at least it will be free from smut. And secondly, with Rory Stewart style swag, I will say that although some scholars and historians may disagree with the accuracy of this story, I hope that should you feel you wish to explore the history behind it, that you feel inspired as I did by how much of it is actually true, and the rest of it, based upon mere lack of evidence alone, cannot be disproven. So anyway, let's begin. Today you join us on the banks of the River Lauver. You can maybe just see that there, we just come over that bridge, in a place where the Lake District and the Eden Valley collide. And you can see it here in the agriculture and the way that changes from the rolling green pastures and cattle land of the Eden Valley to the rugged upland hill farming country of the Wildriggs sheep in the Lake District. You can see it in how the architecture changes, where as the stone changes from sandstone to limestone and slate. And indeed in 1724, when Daniel Defoe stood here, that's the geezer who wrote Robinson Crusoe, by the way, he said that it was a distant, wild and barren place where all this is green and pleasant of England meets its end at this great, terrifying mountainous wall that seems almost impassable. You might be able to just about see it. Yeah, you can't, like, you can't even see it on the camera. You can just about see it looming over there. But in the time when our tale begins, this wasn't even England at all. England didn't even exist. This was the Kingdom of Cumbria. Now it's hard to imagine, stood here on a beautiful Lakeland day like today, how such a terror could be evoked. But in the year 927, the whole of these islands were grouped in a state of terror, as Norse heathens killed, raped and pillaged away across the patchwork of smaller kingdoms that we know today as the United Kingdom. So it's for this reason that all the kings in the land came by their long and winding ways to a place just a few miles down this river where it joins the Eamont and the little village called Eamont Bridge, more famous, incidentally, for its links to King Arthur than for this tale that we recount today. But here they were well met by the hospitality of the great Owain, king of the Cumbrians. And as he stood on his ramparts looking south, awaiting the arrival of Athelstan, king of the Saxons, together with his friends Constantine, king of the Scots, and Hywaldar, king of Wales, musing over the affairs of the day and in what manner the meeting might conclude. I tell you what, boyos, do you remember back when we were nippers, we learned about the Romans and how they came here with this big idea of taking all the countries and turning them into one. Now, I bet you 2,000 sheep that he uses this Viking issue to throw the crowns of all of our nations into the fires of Odin's wrath, and out of it he will pull one crown, the crown of one nation, which he fashions for his own head. You mark my words, boyos. Oh, cool, you're being too hasty. He's come here to beg for your help. He needs us. He can't take on the Vikings alone. He'll overstretch his army and lose his own lands. Besides, my people would never accept a king who's nae 2 bottles of Buckfast down by breakfast, just the same as yous will nae accept a king who gambles away 2,000 sheep and leaves us menfolk who need to bother on a Saturday night. Oh, hell no, I just can't see it myself. Well, that's easy for you to say, up there in the far north, sleeping their ass to death. But you'd throw Wales to the dogs, would you? Oh, cool. There's no need to be like that. Look, if it comes out to any of the big man crap, I'll tell him to wish and simmer down. I just can't see it myself. He's no got the balls for it. He's built like a wee teenage lassie. For the love of Almighty God, Owain, will you not talk some sense into this daft butty? Problem is, my matters, is that you're both right, and we're all buggered either way. So the way I see it is, I can either stay here, fight the Vikings. If I don't do that, I'll be fighting Saxons. And if I survive all that, I'll be fighting folk I was fighting with last week. I was getting too old for it, like I spent my whole life fighting on side of these cold old fells, freezing my tits off, bollock deep in mud, blood and water. Or I could say, Athelstan, King of Kings, if thou gives your old pal Owain a sensational, life-changing stack of lowy for me kingdom, as I'll whistle for the hoss, hoy old Excalibur over me back, and trot off into the sunset to warmer climates. Gone on a pilgrimage or some sick of bother like that, put me feet up on top of me tan. You bastard. Hey, you're a gobshite, Owain. Wogwan, my fellow sovereigns, wogwan. One has been letting things slip round here, hasn't one, Owain? I've just had to have your ambassador flogged for calling me a marrow. Then I come up the old apples and pears to find the 3 kings of Orient are gathering like a common mandem. Wogwan. See, boyos, the insults flow thick and fast from the offset. You are a gobshite, Athelstan. Blimey, hell, I was only having a laugh. Oh, you pay no heed of him, Athelstan. He's got into his fuddy old head you're after his kingdom is all. And I told him, if yon true king of Saxons is for the one from our land, if it'll save Wales, I'll flog him mine. Blimey, just already, gents. See, you won't deny it, will you, you scoundrel? Oh, put this wee ranting fool out his misery, Saxon. Tell him you're nae after his kingdom. Well, you see, you won't say it, will you? Go on, say it. Well, it's like, why such a dickhead, blood? Right, I'm gonna bloody clobber him, said Haldar, as the red dragon that beats inside his breast erupted into an uncontrollable rage. Hey! Said Owain, hammering his fist down upon the banister, and the whole earth seemed to quake, and a deathly silence fell over the scene. What we need to get past all this second bother is to leave this fraction crack till we're in better fettle tomorrow. I say, we go for a bloody good night out in Riff like that, and a monumentous cheer rang around the fortress that caused a sonic boom that sailed out across the Eamont and into town and rattled the bell of St Andrew's Church thrice with some considerable force. So, after some deliberations, as kings are often inclined to do, over things like who would ride at the head of the group, who would have the best horse, who would get the first round in, the kings rode out to sample the delights of a night out in Penrith town. Now, 3 pints down, the King of Wales is still nagging. The King of the Saxons dancing off beat like a fat lass. The King of the Cumbrians could see they're about to start pagging, So he slipped in between with some top-class blagging. Hold there, my mother. Is there any metal fettle, lad? I tell you what, I bet thou's not heard the legend of the giant of Isis Palace, just down by Ninekirks. A man-killing giant, Wayne? Where? Why didn't you say? Oh, I told man-killing giant of Isis Palace caves. I tell you what though, my mother, if there's gonna go down there, thou wants to be in reset a fettle like, because he's a gay big bugger, so I've been told. They reckon when he comes out of his cave in the morning to go down to the river and wash his face, he's so gouge when he straddles it bank to bank, his knackers don't even get tickled by water like, eh? I certainly wouldn't fancy a bit of it like, said Owain. Aye, well that's the difference between you and I, Owain, said the King of Wales, as he grabbed his weapons off the table and marched out towards the door, trailed by 12 Welsh warriors, off to hunt the giant of Isis Palace. Now, the absence of the King of Wales did absolutely nothing to subdue high spirits, and the remaining kings quaffed ale, sang raucously, and debauched their way around the infamous Penrith pub crawl, until finally, spectacularly worse for wear, they reached closing time in the final bar on the circuit. Come on, Constantine, said Athelstan, as his Scottish counterpart stood leaning against the clock tower, pissing directly into the wind, and so monumentously ship-faced he didn't even notice. Grumbled Constantine. Wait, said Athelstan, as he inhaled several large intakes of breath through his drunken flared nostrils. What is that ungodly howdah? Has one shit oneself for wine? Oh, no, lad. Don't worry about that. That's just what we call Wildriggs, where the rotten flesh of our enemies burn at the gates. There's no need to worry about all that sick about the Saxon. Oh, really? How quaint, said Athelstan, before mumbling something quite unintelligible to his advisor in regard to the violent assault that his scent glands had just been subjected to. Owain struggled to hold back a wry smile, and he knew his work was done. As morning broke, Owain was back upon the ramparts as Athelstan approached, watching across the fields to a bend in the river, where the entire Welsh army waded up and down under the bellowing thunderous orders of their King Hywaldar, still searching for the giant of Isis Palace. Wagwan a wine, wagwan, said Athelstan, sporting a rather peculiarly a peg upon his nose, for which he gave absolutely no explanation. I think I'm just going to shoot off a wine. Thing is, it's terribly rude of me. I've been away for such a long time. It's the missus, you see. She'll be going bonkers, mate. Shoot off, lad. Yeah, you can't do that. There's all administration for your new kingdom to sort out, like. Not to mention that interesting stock of allowance that you'd give us for last night. All I ask is that you stick to your word and leave Hywaldar out of it, like. Oh my days, did I really say all of that? Ah, you did, my mother. You certainly did. It's all written down here in this treaty, look. Oh dear, let me have a see. Oh gosh. I, Athelstan, King of the Saxons, in the presence of the Almighty God, where he can be found best, in this ale house, this birthplace of nations, do solemnly declare to pay Owain, King of the Cumbrians, a pension equal to mine own for the rest of his days, in exchange for the length of his kingdom. I further add and promise to leave Eldar and the Kingdom of Wales free from my harassment. I also promise to pay the bar tab of Constantine, King of the Scots, if he can drink this bar dry of Glenfiddich by the close of it this evening. Owain, did you put something in my aperitif? I think we all had a bit something more stronger than aperitifs, my mother. Well, yes, quite clearly, Owain. Well, I've had a new treaty drawn up. I'm sure you'll find the terms quite agreeable. I've left it in my room, said Athelstan, as he about turned and made towards the door in a dash, slamming it behind him in his efforts to escape, jolting the King of Scots upright with sudden abate, awakening him from his drunken slumber. "So that we gobshite away here, Owain?" "Aye." "Did it work? Did that god-awful smell turn him in his tracks?" "Aye, you'll need me back here again, my manor," said Owain, and the two kings laughed as they looked down upon Athelstan and the Saxon army riding out across Clough and Moor and on the long, winding trod to Shap. And that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is how England was born in 927 at Eamont Bridge, and how the Penrith Pong saved the Kingdom of Cumbria. Now, if you want another bombshell and hear about how the Penrith Pong saved the Kingdom of Cumbria for a second time, do be sure to check back for part 2 in the Penrith Pong series, the 945. Namaste.